Okay, so I have a piece of fabric here, and I'm going to try to line up the edges on one side as much as I can, and I have it on a cutting board just like that. So now what I want to do is go in 7 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the size for a large mask, and then I'm going to put my ruler down here and measure that 7 inches, take my rotary and cut a 7-inch strip. Okay, so now we have a 7-inch wide strip. We're going to open it out and we're going to line it up and find 10 inches across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we put the ruler there. And then we just cut. And now we have a 7 by 10 inch, and you could just go down the whole strip and cut 7 by 10s. And you don't have to have this rotary. If you don't have the cutting board, just use a pair of scissors. It does not have to be exactly straight the way I have it here. This is a great way to do it, but if you're not a quilter, do it with a scissor, but still use this principle of a strip that's already the right width, and all you have to do is cut that into pieces. So here I have a pillowcase that I'm going to deconstruct, and the first thing I'm doing is just ironing it just to get the wrinkles out, which makes it easier to measure. Once it's ironed, what I'm going to do is just cut with a scissor this whole piece off here where the hem is, and then just cut down where the seams are, and then open up the whole thing, and then I'll have a nice piece of fabric that can be used for the inside of the mask. So I just cut this edge off of the pillowcase, and now I'm just going to cut down the side here where the hem is, and actually you can tear. Don't be afraid. For the most part it will just tear, and then you just cut here on this side and just rip it open, and look, there's a nice piece of fabric you can use for the lining of your mask. So here's the pillowcase, and what you do is fold it. I generally fold it into quarters like this and line up the edge and then put it out on my cutting board like that, and just cut the same way, 7 inches, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just cut a strip, same as I did before. Okay, so I have now cut the same way this pillowcase. I made 3 pieces per strip. They're all 7 by 10. Should be the same as this group here. So what I'll have is a pile of this. I'll match these two, and you want to put the right sides together. Here's the right side, here's the wrong side. So you'll make a pile just like this. Just match them together. Here's the right side, that goes against the white. Match it together, just even it up. This doesn't have to be perfect. And here's another one. Oh, this one's better. And just match them together. Okay. So now I have 3 sets here in front of me, and now I'm going to pin each one. So I put a pin approximately, I guess that's about 3 or 4 inches from the end, and then another pin right here, just like that, and I'll do that with all 3. Okay, so I have my 3 pieces pinned, and take the first one, put it on the machine, and I line it up with this first pin here, and make sure it's about 1/4 inch. This is where the line is on my machine from the edge, but this is not rocket science here. And then I just lower the thing, and I just start to sew. Right up almost to the corner. I stop right about an inch from the corner and take my elastic, which is 7 inches long, and I pre-cut all the elastic so it's ready when I'm ready. And I just open it up like that, put the elastic in about at that angle, about 45 degrees, lay the top one down, and I just sew right over it, and I back it up over the elastic to make sure that it's well secured. So I have my needle down in the fabric so I can pull up the foot and rotate the mask, and then I put the foot back down, and then I just sew. Make sure the elastic is not in front of your sewing. Make sure it's over, like you can see mine is coming out like that, so it's not going to get caught. Sew down. Oops, and you got to make sure your edges stay together. Sew down about an inch from the corner, and then you grab that other piece of the other end of the elastic, bring it in so that you can sew over it. So if you can see that I've got that right there, hold it down, put that down over it, and sew over the elastic like that. Back up, put your needle down, turn, and then you just sew down this edge. Right down to this corner, stop. So I just did the second edge the same way with the elastic as this one, and now I'm coming down the final edge, turn the corner, sew down to this pin. The pin is just to tell me when to stop. So always remove your pin, and then I'm going to reverse it just for a couple stitches to hold it. I don't know where my pin box is. Take it off the machine. We've now done our first round of stitching. Okay, so now that we've sewn all around the edge, now we can turn the mask inside out. So that's why you left this hole, so you can pull it out. And you've got these elastic straps in here, and you just turn it, and there is your mask. Okay, and the next thing you do is press it. So the way I normally will do this is I'll go ahead and do this one and do this one and a whole stack of them so they're right at this point. So I'll have a whole pile of masks that are done to this point before I go on to the next step. It's kind of good to do this as a mass-produced thing. So the next step is to make the pleats, which is probably the most time-consuming thing. You can just kind of pinch the material with your fingers, and I always check it on the edge here because you want to try to make 3 that are even. So you just kind of, that one's probably a little bit big. Well, this is a larger size. And you just take a pin and you just pin that into place. And then just keep going. And you try to not have them overlap. See how this fold and this fold are not on top of each other like that, because you'll jam up your machine. You want to have it as flat as you can, so when you go over it with the machine later, it's not gonna bollocks it up. And here's the third one, same thing. And it doesn't matter if they're totally even. The thing that matters is that these two things don't overlap. And then we do the other side. So here we go on the other side. And you know, you can pull it across like this, but again, you don't have to obsess over it. The main thing is to make sure that it lies flat, because that'll make your sewing a lot easier. And you have to make sure that all the pleats go in the same direction. So you see how they're all facing this way. That's what you want to go for. Face the same direction and lie flat. and don't stab yourself with the pins. Okay, now it's pleated. And what I'll do is either myself or a nice assistant will do all the pleating of all of the masks, so I'll have a whole pile of them ready to go, and then I will start sewing the last step. Okay, so here it is, ready to go on the machine. The best thing to do is to start on the edge here. Don't start on the top or bottom where the pleats are, because that's going to make it much harder to get started with your sewing. And just start sewing pretty close to the edge, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. Just don't fall off the edge, but don't come in too far. And just go on all the way to the corner here. And you can turn it like that to get to the elastic. Put your needle down, foot up, turn, and pull that pin out. Hold the fold in place with your finger carefully, away from the needle, and then just start sewing forward. Pull the needles or the pins as you go. And it might make a little noise. Your machine may sound a little cranky, but it's just trying to get through all that fabric. And then you just put it in again, turn. If you can sew over the elastic again, that's good, because that'll give it some more reinforcement. You definitely don't want that to pull out. So I just remove my pin and just make sure that fold stays in place with your, just use your hand. I have a tool that I use for this sometimes called a sewing awl, and if you have one of those are really great, but you don't have to use it. And then just go out to the edge, and here we are, back where we started. Oops, see, I'm going a little over too far. And you can just turn it back. Now you can go around a second time and just follow your steps the same way. But for the purposes of this, I'm just going to take it off, cut it, and now you have a finished mask. And you can see there's the pleats, and it's not perfect. See, I even have a little flaw there, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. The important things, make sure everything's tight and that it's not going to fall apart in the washer. And the way to speed this up is, like I said, make a bunch of these all at once, like I've showed you. So you have a whole pile of these, you have a pile of things that are ready to be pleated, then you have them pleated, do them all at once, and then just sew through that pile just like this, and you can make a batch of 10 or 20 of these at a time. So that's my little tutorial.